This Sunday, somewhere around 8 in the evening, you'll feel it. Nothing will have happened. The apartment will be quiet. There will be a plate in the sink you've been ignoring since 2. The light through the window will have gone that particular color. It only goes on a Sunday. And you'll notice, without deciding to notice, that the day is over. And then something in your chest will tighten. You'll pick up your phone. You'll open the calendar app just to check. You'll tell yourself you're checking. You'll see the 9:30 that has no agenda and no description, just a name and a room. You'll see the message you left unanswered on Friday at 4:51 p.m., the one that ended with no rush. You'll close the app. You'll open it again 40 seconds later because closing it didn't work. You'll eat something you don't want. You'll start a show you won't finish. You'll go to bed 40 minutes earlier than usual as a kind of apology to yourself. And then you'll lie there being aggressively awake, running a conversation that hasn't happened yet with a person who is, at this exact moment, asleep and not thinking about you at all. And here's the part nobody says out loud. You won't call it fear. You'll call it tired. You'll call it the Sunday scaries, which is a cute name, a soft little internet name, the kind of name you give a thing so you never have to look directly at it. You'll tell yourself you need better sleep, better boundaries, a hobby, more discipline, and Monday will come. And by about 11 in the morning, the feeling will have burned off. And by Tuesday, you'll have completely forgotten you ever felt it, right up until the next Sunday, at 8, when the light goes that color again. Every week, for years, for decades. Now hold that feeling in your chest, exactly where it is, and understand this. For 300,000 years, no human being ever felt it. Not once. Not on any night, in any season, on any continent. Your ancestors felt hunger and terror and grief and cold. They felt things you and I will never feel. But not one of them ever lay in the dark, dreading a specific hour of a specific morning that had not arrived yet, for a reason they could not name. That sensation is a few thousand years old at most. Your body is 300,000. And in 1967, a British epidemiologist figured out what it does to you. His name was Michael Marmot, and he started following 18,000 civil servants in London. Same city, same country, same National Health Service. Every single one of them had a doctor, a salary, a desk, and a pension. Nobody in the study was starving. Nobody was uninsured. And over the following years, he watched them die at wildly, obscenely different rates. The men at the bottom of the office hierarchy were dying at roughly 3 times the rate of the men at the top. Not from poverty, not from lack of medicine. Something else was in that building, killing people by rank, like a disease that could read an org chart. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly what your body believes is happening on Sunday night. And I promise you, it has nothing to do with work. So let's take it all away. Take away the apartment. Take away the mattress, the ceiling, the door that locks. Take away the phone, obviously, but take away the calendar too. Take away the entire concept of a calendar. The idea that time comes in labeled boxes, that some boxes are yours and some boxes belong to someone else. Take away Monday. Take away the week. There is no week. Nobody invented it yet. Take away the salary. Take away money. Take away the whole strange arrangement where you hand over the daylight hours of your one life to a stranger in exchange for tokens that let you buy back food you didn't grow. Now put yourself on the ground, actual ground, cold, at night, somewhere in Eastern Africa, about 50,000 years ago. There are maybe 25 people within arm's reach of you, and you have known every single one of them since the day you were born. You will know them until one of you dies. There is a fire, and the fire is the only reason you are still alive, and someone has to feed it all night. And tonight, it might be you. And tomorrow, you'll go out and look for food. That's it. That's the plan. There is no meeting. There is no performance review. There is no person who can decide what your tomorrow looks like, because nobody in that group has that power over anybody. It does not exist as a thing a human can do to another human. Not yet. Now. Is that life harder than yours? Vastly. Is it more dangerous? There are animals out there that can eat you, and they know where you sleep. You could die of a scratch. Half the children born around that fire won't reach 5. But you will not lie awake, dreading a specific room. And this is where it gets uncomfortable, because we've been sold a very convenient story about those people. The shambling brute, the grunting caveman, the low-browed idiot dragging a club, an inferior draft of us. It's a story that lets us feel good about the trade we made, and it is completely, embarrassingly wrong. The person sitting by that fire has your brain, not a similar brain, your brain. Same volume, same architecture, same wiring. If you could take a newborn from that group and raise them in Sao Paulo or London, they would learn Portuguese, they would learn calculus, they would learn to complain about the traffic, and to lie about how much they slept. There is no upgrade between them and you. The hardware shipped 300,000 years ago, and it has never been patched. What they were was extremely, ruthlessly good at something we've completely lost. They were good at destroying anybody who tried to become the boss. In 1993, an anthropologist named Christopher Boehm did something nobody had bothered to do. He pulled the field records of 48 hunter-gatherer and small-scale societies from around the world, different continents, different languages, no contact with each other, and he went looking for how they handled power. What he found was so consistent, it's almost eerie. He later called it a reverse dominance hierarchy, and he wrote a whole book about it, published by Harvard in 1999. Here's what it means. In a chimpanzee group, the strongest individual dominates everybody else. In a human forager band, everybody else dominates the strongest individual, not passively, actively, deliberately, with technique. If a man in the group started getting arrogant, started talking like his opinion counted more, started acting like he could tell people what to do, the group had a graduated set of tools, and they used them in order. First, they mocked him, publicly, relentlessly, until he shrank. If that didn't work, they criticized him openly. If that didn't work, they simply stopped listening. They disobeyed, which is devastating when your authority was never real to begin with. If that didn't work, they ignored him completely, which in a group of 25 is a slow social death. And if he still didn't get it, if he became genuinely dangerous, the group would abandon him. Or, in the cases Boehm documented, the group would quietly agree that he had to go, and he would go permanently. Human beings spent the overwhelming majority of our existence as a species systematically killing anybody who tried to be in charge. And the everyday version of this is the part I can't stop thinking about. The anthropologist Richard Lee spent years with the Juhuansi in the Kalahari, and in 1969 he wrote about a custom that broke his brain a little. When a hunter came back with a big kill, an enormous animal, weeks of food, the best possible news, the group's response was to insult it. They'd tell him it was a bag of bones. They'd ask why he'd bothered dragging home something so pathetic. They'd sigh and say they supposed they'd have to eat it anyway. The better the kill, the worse the abuse. Lee asked them why, and the answer he got was, roughly, when a young man kills a lot of meat, he starts to think of himself as a big man, and he thinks of the rest of us as inferior, so we cool his heart and make him gentle. They had a ritual, a permanent, scheduled, cultural ritual whose entire purpose was to prevent one person from feeling superior to another person, because they understood, with total clarity, without a single university between them, that a group where one man can look down on another man is a group that will eventually kill somebody. That is not a primitive society. That is an anti-boss immune system. And you had it for 300,000 years. So what happened? Grain happened. Around 12,000 years ago, in a strip of land you now know as the ancient Near East, humans started planting instead of walking. And the moment food could be stored, food could be owned. And the moment food could be owned, somebody had to control the storeroom. And that person, for the first time in the history of our species, could decide whether you ate. Not by being stronger, not by being liked, By holding the key. That's the boss. That's the invention. It's not a law of nature. It's not human nature. It's a piece of infrastructure that showed up about 4% of the way into our story, and we have been improvising around it ever since, and people hated it immediately. In the 29th year of the reign of Ramesses III, that's around 1157 BC, the workmen who built the royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings, the elite craftsmen who lived in the village at Deir el-Medina, stopped working. Their grain rations were late. So they walked off the site, sat down at the mortuary temples, and refused to move. A scribe named Amenacht wrote the whole thing down, and the papyrus survived, and it's in a museum in Turin right now. The oldest recorded strike in human history, and the complaint is, we are hungry, and you did not pay us on time. 3,000 years ago, same species, same grievance, same knot in the same stomach. Which brings us back to the 18,000 civil servants and to what was actually killing them. Because Marmot's team kept going. They ran the numbers on everything a doctor in 1970 would blame. Smoking, cholesterol, blood pressure, weight. And those explain some of it, not most of it. The single strongest factor they found, published in The Lancet in 1997, was something they called job control. Not how hard you worked. Not how many hours. How much say you had over what happened to you during those hours. The men at the top of that building worked longer, took on more responsibility, made bigger decisions, and their hearts were fine. The men at the bottom, delivering the mail, doing what they were told, being pleasant to people who could ruin their week, were dying of coronary heart disease at 3 times the rate. It's not the work. It has never been the work. It's the powerlessness. And your body has a very specific, very old way of processing powerlessness. Robert Sapolsky spent decades in the Masai Mara in Kenya, darting olive baboons and measuring what was in their blood. Baboons live in a brutal ranking system, and Sapolsky found that the subordinate males were walking around with elevated stress hormones in their bloodstream at baseline, not during a fight, not while being chased, at rest, on a calm morning. Doing nothing. Being outranked with no exit is a full-time physiological state. And here is the part that should make the hair on your arms stand up. In 2004, Marmot's group looked at the civil servant's cortisol, the hormone your body releases in the first half hour after you open your eyes, the one that's supposed to get you off the floor and into the day. They compared work days to weekends. Same people, same beds. Same bodies. The cortisol response was higher on workdays. Your endocrine system knows what day it is. It knows before you do. Sunday night, while you're telling yourself you're just tired, your adrenal glands are already loading tomorrow because your brain cannot tell the difference between a status threat and a physical one. It never learned to, because for 300,000 years, it never needed to. In a band of 25 people, losing rank and losing your life were the same event. If the group turned on you, you didn't get a bad quarter. You got left behind. There was no second group. There was no other tribe hiring. So the alarm that fires in your chest at 8 p.m. on a Sunday is not malfunctioning. It's not weakness, and it's not a character flaw, and it's certainly not a failure of discipline. It is the single most sophisticated survival system on this planet, correctly identifying that you are about to spend 5 days in a dominance hierarchy you cannot leave, being evaluated by someone whose approval controls whether you eat. And it is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's just doing it every 7 days, forever, with no resolution. Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller gave that a name, allostatic load, the bill your body runs up when the alarm never gets to finish. And Marmot found out what that bill costs. So let's be clear about who's broken here. You are not lazy. Nobody who dreads Monday is lazy. Dread is not the opposite of effort. Dread is the sound of effort with nowhere to go. You are not fragile. You are running 300,000 years of tested, refined, survival-grade software on a machine that has been asked to sit still, be pleasant, and accept that a stranger controls the storeroom. You come from people who mock the best hunter in the group, until he stopped standing up straight. You come from people who walked off the pharaoh's tombs over late rations. Somewhere in your chest, on a Sunday evening, that whole lineage wakes up, looks around at your calendar app, and says, "This is wrong. We don't do this. We have never done this." And it's right. You didn't fail at the modern world. You were built for a different one with no week, no rank, and no room you had to walk into. The ache you feel on a Sunday night is not damage. It's the last piece of that world still in you, still keeping watch, still refusing to accept that this is normal. Don't be so quick to make it quiet. You're still human.